Well, hi there. I'm Carol Freeman of Hypnotic Nutrition. I'm the creator of the 90-Day Keto Diet Challenge program, and I'm here today with a new format for you for my monthly updates. So today marks 11 months that I've been on a ketogenic diet, and usually I blog all about that, and it takes me days and days to perfect it and get all the details down. So this month I thought I would just do a little video update for you and see how that goes, see if you like this. Almost always people want to know like what's going on with your weight. For me, my weight has been very stable probably since November. I pretty much weighed the same within about a 5-pound range, and that's pretty cool because a lot of people say you go on a ketogenic diet, it ruins your metabolism, and then you'll have to weigh and measure and track everything. You're just going to gain all the weight back. However, I stopped tracking, weighing, and measuring my food months ago. Once in a while, randomly, I will check things just because I want to know something or see how I'm doing. My weight has stayed the same for, what has it been, 4 months now? And that's without weighing or measuring or tracking anything, because I use the meal formula that I teach in my program. That's how I developed it, is through my own application, and I just use that for meals, and it works beautifully. Happy, satisfied, delicious food, and my weight's very, very stable too. So as far as what I'm eating right now, that's also a question people have. You can always follow me on Instagram. I post pretty much everything that I eat on there, and so that gives you a really good idea of what I'm eating. I was doing a month of dairy-free to support my son. It's been really, really great for him. His skin is pretty much completely cleared up. Before keto, he was very, very sensitive to dairy. He had cystic acne pretty bad. Going keto, he actually added dairy back in, and all the cystic acne cleared up. He still had some surface acne though, and so he wanted to see if going completely dairy-free plus keto would be the magic bullet coffee, whatever. And his skin has really, really cleared up. He pretty much has almost nothing going on acne-wise now. So I decided to try a little bit more dairy, add that back in myself. I seemed like I was doing really well with it. However, the last maybe week or 10 days or so, I've added a lot more back in, even got some cream back in my coffee at home. And I'm starting to notice some congestion and postnasal drip after eating. So it's a good indicator for me that I probably should go back to no dairy or very little dairy, much less than I'm doing right now. Although it doesn't seem to affect my weight at all, and then also my ketones, which I'll talk about here in just a second. So it doesn't affect either of those, but for me, I do seem to have some kind of a sensitivity that causes some postnasal drip, and when you have that, it is an inflammatory response in the body, and very likely it also affects a lot of other things going on. So good indicators for me that I probably should minimize dairy in my life. So ketone strips, all right, let's talk about that. Up to this point, or actually up until maybe a couple weeks ago, so 10.5 months of keto, I hadn't peed on one strip, I hadn't checked my blood ketones at all. I had just felt really confident that eating 20 grams or less of carbs per day and keeping my fat high, that I was going to be in ketosis. It was after I went and chatted with Doc Nally about a month ago in Phoenix. He shared his story about how he thought he was doing keto for so long, and then he finally checked his blood test strips, or he checked the ketone levels in his blood, and he found that he actually wasn't even in ketosis. So that got me super curious, and I wanted to find out, was I doing this right? And so I'd had the blood glucose meter, the Precision Extra, for quite a while now. I just never bought the blood ketone strips. So I finally bit the bullet. I bought some on eBay. They're still really expensive. I think I ended up paying about $2.80 a piece. But I figured I might as well get some validation of what I'm doing. And so the first morning I got those, I got up, my blood level was 1.8. I was super happy. Optimal nutritional ketosis level in blood, you want to see between 1.5 and 3, and some of them even say 1 to 3 is great too. And anywhere above 0.5, you're in nutritional ketosis. So I definitely was in ketosis. I was in the optimal nutritional ketosis range, so I felt really happy, very proud of myself as well. And so then I thought, well, it's time to start doing some experimentation. So I've got these test strips. Let's find out, like, how do I react to different foods, I guess foods was the main thing I wanted to find out. So I did, after I had a grande coffee with 2 inches of heavy cream, my ketones were the same, and so that's another thing that can happen if you're sensitive to a certain type of food. Even though the carbs are low enough to technically fit on a ketogenic diet, you could it could be something that kicks you out of ketosis. So I maintained my blood level ketones after having a considerable amount of dairy in the form of heavy whipping cream. And so I felt that was one of the things that made me think, I can add more dairy in. But when I did, I've started to notice the congestion coming back. It doesn't seem to affect my ketosis level, but it does seem to affect me in other ways. So I'm going to continue to, or go back to minimizing that. And so the other thing that I wanted to check with my ketone strips was, of course, after hearing some podcasts that was touting the powers of MCT oil, which, I've had in the past, but I just tend to be more of a whole foods based nutrition practitioner, and there's just more compounds in whole foods than just the one thing that we identify as being good for us. And so I just tended to use coconut oil instead of MCT oil. But after hearing a podcast, it really got me curious about how much I could boost my ketone levels. And now that I could actually measure them, I wanted to do a trial. So I decided to do like Bulletproof coffee in the morning. So I made coffee and I blended in 1 tablespoon total of MCT oil plus 1 tablespoon of butter. In the past, when I'd done MCT oil, I could be kind of sensitive to it. And so I did it very slowly. I did 1 teaspoon at a time in a cup and was able to consume a full tablespoon of MCT oil plus 1 tablespoon of butter. I started out, so before I drank the coffee with any oil in it, so I woke up, fasted overnight, my ketone levels were 1.3, and then I did the coffee with 1 tablespoon of MCT plus 1 tablespoon of butter, and within an hour, my ketone level was up to 2.3 millimolar. So it was a huge jump, right? I was super excited. I thought, oh my gosh, this is really cool that I could get such an improvement. So what they said is true, that MCT is very pro-ketogenic, and it can very significantly boost blood ketone levels. However, what surprised me was that shortly after that, I found that I had a very strong appetite. I was really hungry. And this was odd for me because I don't eat breakfast because I'm not hungry. I typically eat my first meal of the day between about 1 and 3 p.m. And so this was probably about 11 in the morning that I'd measured a 2.3 blood ketones, and I was really hungry. And so I thought, well, that's really weird, because when you're in ketosis, one of the hallmarks of that is that you have a very low appetite and you're not hungry. So I was really confused as to why boosting my ketone levels 1 whole point and going up to 2.3, why I would be hungry. Later that day, I was listening to a podcast with Dom D'Agostino on there talking about how blood ketones, when they get too high, they can actually cause an insulin release. And so I thought, that's really interesting, because I've heard of other people reporting that when they try to drink Bulletproof coffee or this coffee blended with MCT oil and butter, that it makes them hungrier, whereas it's supposed to promote ketosis and make you not hungry. I contacted Dr. Nally because I wondered if he had seen this in practice or if he knew what was going on with this. And it's pretty cool because he, of course, knows all about this. He is Mr. Ketosis, and in practice he has a lot of experience with this. So the way that he explained it to me is that your body has kind of like this ketone brake that wants to protect you from keep your ketones from going too high. When your ketone levels jump up, and he said it tends to be a greater than 2.0, that your body responds with a couple of different mechanisms and some different hormones. It's all about the hormones. And what that does is it does release glucagon, and it stimulates gluconeogenesis, and in turn it causes a little bit of an insulin spike, which serves to bring down your ketones, and it also stimulates hunger at the same time. That's your body's way of preventing your ketone levels from going too high, which could turn into ketoacidosis. So it's pretty cool that our body has this regulatory mechanism. Another piece of evidence that ketosis is very safe and our body's able to regulate and manage it. But it's also, I love the way he pointed out to me, is more evidence that real whole foods are better for us than isolated nutrients. And so for me, I found that I decided that that MCT oil, but only in small amounts, could fit. But as a boost for low ketones, but when I'm already in nutritional ketosis, all it's going to do is stimulate hunger for me, which is the opposite of what I want in those situations. If you're out there and you're using MCT oil, and you find that it makes you hungry, perhaps try cutting that out and do your own experiment there. I also wanted to compare that then to the same experiment with using coconut oil instead of MCT oil. So the next morning, same thing, woke up fasted, and I had coffee and the same amount. I had 1 tablespoon of butter blended with 1 tablespoon of coconut oil this time instead of MCT. And my so, again, my fasted blood ketone level was 1.4, so very similar to what it was the day before. And after consuming the coffee with butter and coconut oil, I got a rise up to 1.9. So it still went up about, what's the math there, 0.5 millimolar, which is half the response that I got from the same amount of MCT oil. And also, interestingly, I did not experience a big jump. I didn't experience any hunger for that. So that was really cool. So I could increase my ketone levels from coconut oil, but it didn't push it up so much that I got that hunger response. So for me, it shows that coconut oil is a much better choice for me in the morning in my coffee than would be MCT oil. Oh, so the other thing that's continuing to go on for me, I think I've been reporting on this at least last month and probably the month before, is that I'm having a lot of hair growth. I reported many months ago that part of a significant weight loss, it's a big stressor on the body. Often people experience thinning of hair. Now, there are some bloggers out there that misappropriate this hair loss as something wrong with your thyroid, and it isn't true. So there's a lot of adjustments and things going on in the body. And so significant weight loss is a really big stressor on the body, and you can see that with any kind of dietary approach that people will experience as thinning of hair. So same thing happens when people do like gastric bypass surgery and they lose a lot of hair. So it's not your thyroid, as some people mistakenly say. Mine, I had a pretty significant thinning of hair. However, you can see this, like see these frizzy things sticking out the side here on my hair. Same thing going on the other side. It makes for, interesting hairdos going on. So I've got that outgrowth, which I think is probably about 3 months worth of hair length growing out all over my head. And so my body, and like I've been reporting, is that my weight's been really stable for about 4 months now. And so once my weight stabilized, then my body's like, oh, we're not under stress anymore. It's time to make a full, luscious head of hair again. And not only this outgrowth that I've got that you can definitely see, but as I look up really close, like along my hairline here, I've got about a ½ inch down from my normal hairline, I've got these other fine hairs that are coming in here. So I'm going to have more hair than I've ever had in my entire life, which is really interesting to me. So, so in the meantime, I've got some interesting hairdo challenges that I get to work with, but for the most part, it just kind of makes my hair really kind of fluffy on the top of my head and really full. So anyone out there that's experiencing any hair loss as you lose weight, just hang on, your body will even out. It's not your thyroid freaking out, probably. I mean, I don't know what's going on with you, but if that's all you're experiencing, it's not because your thyroid is crying and dying or anything like that. Some bloggers out there that are promoting, if you're losing your hair, it means your thyroid is not working well and that you need more carbs. So I wanted to talk about my opinion on carb ups. So there are some bloggers out there that are promoting that women need more carbs, that you need to frequently have high carb meals, and that's the only way to protect your hormones and protect your thyroid. And I love the fact that Jimmy Moore and Dr. Nally talked about this on their last Keto Talk. So they come out with those every Thursday, and really great content. If you guys aren't listening to that, they run about half an hour long, so they're quick. They're really they explain things in practical, easy to understand terms. And they, on their last episode, so that would have been the second week in April, they talked about this carb up thing. And so there's some, it doesn't even based in any science. There's like one study I saw out there that they were talking about was based on thyroid function, but it had nothing to do with a ketogenic or low carb diet at all. And so my take on it is that most people, anyone who's really insulin sensitive, or I'm sorry, insulin resistant. So those are people that have diabetes, pre-diabetes, they've got a large waist circumference. So for example, men with a waist circumference of 40 inches or greater, women with 35 inches or greater, those are all indicators of what we call metabolic syndrome, and it's also an indicator of metabolic resistance, insulin resistance specifically. And so people that have this, they are just really, really carb intolerant. And if they try to do these carb ups that are being recommended, they fail miserably. It makes them feel terrible. It makes them gain weight. It makes their appetite come back. And one of the hallmarks of being in ketosis is that you have a really low appetite, you're not hungry all the time, and you're not overeating. And so I see posts over and over again on in different keto Facebook groups where people are saying, I'm trying this carb up and my appetite came back and my weight loss stalled, or I'm gaining weight. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. It just means that you're like 70% of the population that's so insulin resistant that you can't tolerate carbs. And so a carb up for you is not going to work. It's not going to work at all, and it's actually going to be very detrimental to you. I think that the people that a carb up can work for are the same type of people that do generally really well in like a paleo type approach. They're not insulin resistant. So these are people that maybe they started out on keto, maybe they were 5 or 10 pounds heavier than they'd like to be, generally very lean to begin with. Those people have a lot of metabolic flexibility, and their body can still tolerate a higher carb allowance. What I've seen from the people that do well having a carb up approach where a few times a week they have more carbs in the evening, those type of people tend to be ones that have metabolic flexibility. They haven't ever been overweight or obese in their life, and they're already pretty lean when they start out. And so that tends to be the type of person that works for. And again, that's a very small percentage of the population, maybe 20%, maybe a little higher than that, but it's not most of the people that are already trying a ketogenic diet. So, and carb ups can be really, really dangerous for somebody who does have type 2 diabetes and has been doing a lower carb approach for a while. That actually can lead to blood sugar spikes. When the hunger comes back, carb addiction is triggered, and it can lead to overeating and binging. It's really, really common actually, where I've heard of people that I'm trying to do these carb ups because I think I need it. I've been told I need it. What's wrong with me because this is 3 days later or a week later or 3 weeks later and I'm still binging on carbs and I can't stop. And that's because for most people it doesn't work, and it's really detrimental. And so most people don't need carb ups. There are some people that can tolerate a carb up is what I see. And people do report that, well, it makes me feel better. I must need it because it really makes me feel a lot better. Well, here's the thing. It triggers a dopamine release in the brain, and it will make you feel good. It will make you feel happy. However, the next day you're not going to feel as happy, and you're going to be thinking about carbs again, and you're going to want some more because they made you feel so good and made you feel so happy. So eating carbs and feeling happy and feeling better is not a good indicator of whether it's healthy for your body or not. It just means that you're having the normal dopamine response to carbohydrates that humans have. And just a few other things for me to check in with you on. Pain. So those of you who are new to my updates, I started ketogenic diet after a car accident. I had a car accident about 2 years ago that left me with a chronic pain syndrome on my legs. And I've been home, working full-time from home for over the last, it's been more than a month now. And I have noticed that because I'm not on my feet as much, I'm sitting at my computer more, I'm not getting as much activity, is that the pain has flared up just a little bit in the evening. And so I'm recognizing that I need to make a concerted effort to get out and walk and exercise and make sure that I'm moving those muscles on my legs that were damaged there to keep that pain down, which has significantly reduced, nearly gone from adopting a ketogenic diet. The other thing is the continuing sleep issues that I've had. likely related to the car accident as well, this central apnea that's developed. It's much better. I've been working with a chiropractor and massage therapist on my neck and my back, and I've got some ergonomic things set up with my computer now so that it's a better position for me. And it's getting better. I'm still having some issues, though, with this very early morning sleep apnea and not getting that restful sleep that I need. So I'm continuing to work on that. I don't have any really good solutions. It's unfortunately everybody I've contacted just said, "Oh yeah, that's a hard one to treat." So still working on it, hoping it resolves here over the next few years, because I know now that the longer you're on a ketogenic diet, the more healing goes on in your body. So I'm just really hopeful that the longer I do this, that will just resolve over time as it continues to heal my brain. So, well, that's all that I have for you now. Thanks for watching, listening. If you like this format, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, because I think this has been fun for me to be able to just chat with you this way and give you my update. And I'll keep checking in with you every month, because guess what? Next month is my 1-year anniversary of being keto, and still going strong, and looking forward to all the good stuff that's here to come. So, all right, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.